What's up, y'all? Metta World Peace in the building. Quick shout out to 37 Partners. Make sure y'all go to 37partners.com. A lot of people's asking what I've been doing with myself. Just doing a lot of different, just trying to stay creative and stay busy. And just take advantage of all this luxury that we have in this life, because not everything's a luxury. 37partners.com is where we bring different brands from the West to the East, from America to Asia, to China and so on. So shout out to all my partners. Definitely, we are looking into a lot of different things. We're curious about a lot. On the business side, we're curious about, different opportunities, different industries. And on the sports side, we are curious about the different opportunities in sports. So here we are. We're on Twitter Spaces also, X Spaces. We're about to send the link out so more people can hop on. Let's talk some sports. It's going to be really interesting. Playoffs is here. Teams is playing well. Well, two teams is playing well. And it's super exciting. It is super exciting. So, the goal is to win a championship as a head coach. If that's okay with you guys and girls, the goal is to win a championship as a head coach. That's been a goal for a long time. I've been working on my craft. Ideally, I would come out the gates on fire, and I feel like I have been doing that. I know a lot of people was questioning, how you gonna do this? How you gonna do that? Well, I've been training for quite some time at Cal State LA, coaching for 6 years, and we in the building. We're gonna let this Twitter Spaces give a little chance to get everybody locked in, get some people on the spaces. Big game out there tomorrow night. Pacers versus OKC. Really, really interesting. So as we do a video with the Twitter Spaces, we definitely saw the opportunity to coach and to get prepped for coaching. When one opportunity passes you, if you have your goals set, you can't stop. So, for example, I had opportunity. Well, I reached out to coach a few different places, but those opportunities, they were just not available. So I had to stay ready. And now I'm just more and more ready. And it doesn't matter what the opposition says. It matters how ready are you. That's the only thing that matters. So when people are out there, chatting about, hey, are you ready to coach? Of course I'm ready to coach. Absolutely be ready to coach, baby. We've been preparing for this for our whole life. And you got to have goals. Some people say, well, why? Some people from New York, I'm from New York, and they'll say, we might, as a fan, not even as, front office, just as a fan, we might want to go in a different direction. I say, I'm from New York, and I don't agree with that. I agree I'm the direction. Respectfully and humbly, that's what I say. Because this is something I've been wanting for a long time. I want the same thing everybody else wants. It's not like we want different things. You might want a different coach, but we want the same goals. And even if we was to get a different coach, I will always support the Knicks. Now, obviously, when they play the Pacers, sometimes I'll be in a little dilemma because of my history with the Pacers and everything that we've been through with the Pacers. So I'm unapologetic, or just, it's just something where, you want to see a team do well. We had a chance to win in 2004. Everybody know we had a chance. We was running through every team in the East. when I was with the Pacers, whether it was the Knicks, when I was in my prime, whether it was the Cavs, whether it was Boston, we was running through everybody. And that's in the East. So from that perspective, we wanted that to happen in New York, even though I love Indiana. So when Indiana played, I'm always rooting for Indiana. But I'm from New York, and I still want to, and I've always had the same. The goal never changed. The goal has never changed, baby. So the goal has never changed. So I'm not gonna say it don't matter where. I don't want to go that far yet. I gotta put in work. I don't want to go that far yet. Shout out to every team I play for. Shout out to people I do stuff now with. Much appreciated. The community service stuff we're doing. It's a luxury to be able to do community service, especially with my career. So it's a luxury. We like it, love it, and then it also had a passion side, the curious side of winning. So we try and do everything it takes, and continue to do everything it takes. We're not finished. We are far from done. So when people out there saying, let me say something else also. There are a lot of people out there that are saying, it would be great to have you, coach. I'm like, yeah, but now I gotta double back, reach out to a few people that I don't have any relationship with, which is okay. I have a connection because I love what they're doing. I love the work that everyone is doing. I love the work that everyone is doing. I'm a fan. I see what's happening in the city. I'm a fan. At the end of the day, probably more of a fan than a lot of people. So, and I just feel like it's time. I think right now is the right time. And I think everybody's done a great job. Fans, the orgs, players. I think everybody's done a great job. So, when it comes to coaching, I feel like I'm going to be up there with the best at some point. For sure. Learn under the best. If that makes sense. Learn under the best. So when it comes to getting it in, on the coaching side, that's what we do. Shout out to my Twitter spaces. We're going to let this thing fill up a little bit. And, we've been preparing for this moment for a long time. Now, yeah, I might not have, relationships and connections, but I'm ready. That's for sure, especially for this one. It's like sometimes you probably would never hear me talk about this as like any other team that I want to coach. I'm not going to say anywhere right now because I'm not even going to say that right now. I'm just going to keep it right here. Shout out to NYC. That is for sure. Even though we love the Pacers, I'm always going to say that. Shout out to NYC. People like, Metta, are you serious? For sure. That's for sure. We feel like we got the passion to get it done. We always had the passion to get it done. I said that even when I came out of college. People questioned it. It was a little bit, a little bit questionable, a lot questionable. I'm gonna hold myself accountable in my career, but in the same breath, a lot of people was doing some incredible things in their career. I don't want to get into it or single anyone out, But but we did win. So imagine if I played for the Knicks. I just say that not to woulda, shoulda, coulda. I just say that because imagine if in my third year, shout out to all the people starting to hop in, but imagine in my third year if I was with the Knicks. So I have the rough 2 years, right? We back up Allen, back up Latrell, then we get better. Then I become a force. Then I get Defensive Player of the Year and a go-to guy. Just imagine that in a Knicks jersey, right? So just imagine that, you know what I mean? So when I say I have the Knicks jersey on under my suit at the draft, I had the Knicks jersey on, the practice jersey on under my suit at the draft. A lot of fans can't say that. You might have a Knicks mug, but you don't got a Knicks jersey under your suit in 1999 draft, ready to pop it open, talking about we're going to win a championship. And I could have backed it up because then the Defensive Player of the Year came after that, and all NBA teams, and I was playing both sides of the ball from New York City. That's how dedicated I was to bringing a title to New York. So when fans is talking about, oh, we good here, like we good where? You saying we good in the city? Like, we good, we gonna get, you wanna get another coach? And I'm on Twitter Spaces and I'm on my YouTube, so I'm doing 2 videos at once. So if anybody wanna chime in, let me know, just request it. Be talking about coaching in the playoffs. So when people say we good, saying like we good where? Like, I'm not good. I've been wanting to bring a title to the city since before 1999. You know what I'm saying? I've been wanting to bring a title to the city since before 1999. So, my thing is, I see your request. I'm going to give you a shot. Yes, sir. So, we've been, like I said, we've been trying to get this done since 99, here in New York City. Right? So from that perspective, when people and fans are saying like, oh, they want to get this coach and that coach, well, I say, okay, look at all the names out there. And this is no pressure on the Knicks. I'm not trying to, I support the Knicks. I want everybody to know that why I came out because I was on vacation in a small city. In the Vancouver Islands, I was on vacation in a small city, and I just got a random tweet that said Coach Tibbs was fired. And for me, I wasn't even thinking about like coaching the Knicks, or even it just wasn't a thought. Not to say I'm not coaching the Knicks. I would love to. It was just like, wow. And I know how these things happen fast. So typically when people get fired, someone get hired quick. So once again, for people to say I'm not prepared, let me tell you how prepared I am. Who was the first athlete or person to tweet that they want the job? And now you got other people like, oh, I want, people trying to cloud up my momentum. Right? People, I don't have an agent. Respectfully, I love all the agents. I love CAA, WME, Wasserman. I never had an agent as a player. I never had an agency. Like, I had an agent, but not an agency. It's a big difference. You see, that's a big difference, having an agent and an agency. Because I always have been, independent thinker, curious about doing independent businesses. So from that perspective, I had to get ready. So people say, where's your experience? Well, I tried to get experience. I don't want to mention names, but I tried to get the experience. I tried to do different things in the G League and different, I'm not going to mention names, but they say they would respond to me, but they didn't. So I had to say, instead of not getting ready, because I've been wanting to bring a title to New York since 1999. So instead of not getting ready, I got to figure out a way to get ready. That's what Kobe would do. I would say, Kobe, what's the best way to be successful and consistent? He would say preparation. So I went to go coach. So I stayed coaching Division II women's. Now, yeah, it's not the NBA, but I had experience with clipboards and 6 a.m. practices and being on the front of a bench and taking a school from not making the NCAA tournament in 20 years to taking them to back-to-back NCAA tournaments to being ranked in the top 10 preseason. How is that not experience? Respectfully, this is not to put any pressure on the Knicks organization. This is just me conversating with the fans. I'm gonna support the Knicks whatever they do, but I'd rather it be me. But you see what I'm saying? So now, being that when all the names came out, the same names is being circulated. Respectful, I love all the coaches. Honestly, I have nothing against the coaches. This is more about the process and the opportunity. So shout out to all the coaches out there. I love y'all, and y'all did a great job. But when you look at the names that's being circulated, it's the same names. Now, keep in mind, I don't have no agent. Typically, I have my own agency, so I'm trying to do the same thing that these agents are doing: sign players, media, coaches, and the whole gambit. I got an agency in Toronto. I got another one in LA. I got my own vertical agency. I got one in Hong Kong. So I get the game of leverage, right? I understand I understand that. So it's all good. So I'm working with just a tweet. I'm working with a tweet and a defensive player of the year. I got, people say, okay, if you was getting into a battle, call it like a Western battle, and somebody had 2 rifles and you had just a spoon. Well, what you gonna do? You gotta use that spoon to get to work. So if somebody's saying, I don't have the resume, I don't think so. Defensive player of the year, 3rd team All NBA, All-Star champion, triangle, played under different coaches and more. I got three first team All Defense. That's with being suspended a year. So, and then I'm also
not to cut you off too.
Thank you, my guy.
Yeah, not to cut you off. There's some coaches right now don't have a damn near a coaching resume, but they coaching. So I just want to put that out there. I don't want to say no names, but
yeah, I don't want to say names too because it's not about them. It's about the Knicks. It's about New York City.
Right, I was putting it out there.
It's all about New York City, right? And I think, and please, we got a couple speakers. Feel free, like if y'all want to chat, we're gonna give y'all a chance. We can also talk about some other sports, but right now, the moment, definitely this is about New York for sure. Yeah. So, so from that perspective, we are going for it. So I got a lot to say in no particular order. I wish it wasn't order, but people coming in late. So in terms of being ready, you got to think about how everyone else is prepping and how I'm prepping. This is a one-man operation. This is not anyone else coming up with these different strategies with the credibility attached to put myself in position for some of the fans to say, oh yeah, like we got some fans that's like, hell no, I respect that. They're like, what? And my response is, I'll just go back at you. Like, speak. You can speak, Robert. Please do.
All right. I just have thank you for opening the space, first of all. I just wanted to ask you a 2-part question.
Yeah.
One,
I like the tough questions too.
Yeah. Do you think that this Knicks roster is currently constructed is ready to win a championship? And if so, what prevented them from winning a championship this season? And and thirdly, what could you add to making this roster a championship contending, or a true champion? Forget about contending.
True champion. So let me answer. I'm gonna answer that in 2 parts because one, I don't want to take advantage of the moment that Coach Tibbs got fired, and then all of a sudden I'm the right guy, right? I'm not trying to put Tibbs in the back. I respect Tibbs. I don't know what happened, did not expect it, but from what I saw, I like the team. I think we all thought they was going to win the title. We all thought that the Knicks was going to win the title. So let's not change much. Not much to change. Now, a 3 seed losing to a 4 seed. I love the Pacers. I'm always be transparent about that. I'm going to Game 3. I'm going to Game 4. I'm cheering for the Pacers. Right? Be super transparent. New York City. I'm from New York. I play for the Pacers. I'm cheering for the Pacers to win 100%. I also want to see the Knicks win a title. And I've been on that since 99. Since 96, really, honestly. But I did see some opportunities for some movement in different areas. And I did see some opportunities to identify chess moves that I'm not going to talk about because Rick Carlisle's my guy. I'm not giving away nothing that I know from Rick Carlisle right now because I don't want anyone from OKC, to hear what I would say. So I can't speak much on my experience.
Recorded and stuff, and
Yeah, absolutely.
Six games and stuff.
Yeah.
I was waiting you done talking. I didn't want to interrupt.
No, please interrupt. Please do. I want to.
I didn't want to take away from your moment and everything you were saying since you opened up the space.
It's open, baby.
I was like, for the Knicks, I just think they just need to get more ball handling outside of Jalen Brunson, and he's dominating the ball. They need to get more shot creators and like I won't say a low post, but like a big that got IQ that can move around the offense. Like instead of they just playing ISO ball, this ball keep moving. So,
and that's been a reoccurring statement. And I understand the New York fans because I'm from New York. I'm actually in New York, so I was the first person to go at the fans and tell the fans every time I would get interviewed about New York. This is going back 10 years. I told the fans, you got to stop putting pressure on the organization every time something go wrong. And then year after year, I would add to that until the point where I said we got to be more like the Spurs fans. Like you got to have time, you got to have patience, and I would tell that to when I'm on radio, so it's going out directly to the fans, and I was very direct. But look at the Knicks fans now. Now we did revert back because Cat didn't play as well as everybody wanted him to play. But let's not revert back. Let's not scare away our players. See, this is the difference between me and I don't even want to get back into it as much because people are going to try to take my style. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to get into it much, but we gotta be better. We gotta have patience in New York City. And this is if I get the job or not. Like, I'm not even listen, I'm the last horse in the race. I don't even think I'm in the field. But the people putting me in the field. So I'm on a grind. I'm trying to work my way into the actual race. I'm late to the race. And I'm trying to work my way into the race. And people don't hear me speak a lot. I went back to school when I retired, but I kept coaching. The school part was getting my ability to operate businesses. If I can operate, a business and help founders operate their business, I can transfer those operational skills to basketball. Because people say, oh, this guy can operate a business. He can operate a team. Well, I'm like, I never wanted that to be a question when I'm up for the opportunity. So that's something that nobody can talk about. When you look at EasyCareLink.com, that we started from, I got involved at $300,000 in revenue. We went up to $6 million in revenue. I'm on the board. Look at Buttercloth. I was there with $0 in revenue. Look at BuildOps, BuildOps.com. Do your Google search. Got involved at a 30 million valuation. It's at a $1 billion valuation now. Look at the new companies I got. My Leafy Run Logistics. That's a whole different company. I'm managing. So I don't want to get too much into it because this is not about my operating holding company. What I'm saying is, every time I wasn't getting a job, I said, well, I got to just keep perfecting my craft. So now, if I'm going to put together a team in partnership, I'm not saying I'm going to come do it by myself because I'm going to confide to the higher authority, even though I'm an alpha. I am publicly an alpha. I can work for alphas. I can work for betas. I can work for females. But I'm not going to change my alpha personality. I'm also not going to go against the grain and undermine anyone. I worked at Circuit City my rookie year. So people were saying, why would you work at Circuit City? You was broke. I said, no. How am I broke when I just signed a contract? I said I worked at Circuit City because I like to work. I applied for, so I'm a worker. You understand? So from that perspective, it's things that people don't understand about it. So yeah, and feel free. I know we got some speakers, so feel free to like chime in anytime you want.
So I just wanted to clarify. You think the Knicks could have won a championship with better coaching, without throwing tips?
Yeah, without throwing tips under the bus. Without throwing tips
under the bus. But just between you said we all thought the Knicks were going to win a championship. That I would assume that would be you and your circle of professional NBA kind of circle. You guys thought that the Knicks had it this year, and they kind of got in their own way. Correct?
Let me be super honest with that. So I've been wanting the Pacers to win a title for so long because when I was there, I felt like we didn't win a title because of me. That's a lot of pressure to hold. You see what I'm saying? That's a lot of things to hold over the years, like Donnie Walsh, Herb Simon, great organization. Don't have a championship because of my immaturity at a young age. So I'm hoping that they win a title. So let me just be super open about that. Now, in terms of the Knicks, the Pacers started out as a fifth. We thought they would finish sixth. Nobody thought they would finish fourth, by the way. So the Pacers wasn't even, it was the Cavs. As much as I love the Pacers, I go to the games. I'm going to game 3 and 4 to help to see them win that title and try to get the staff ring. You see what I'm saying? But, the Pacers, we didn't think they would be here. We thought it was going to be the Cavs in Boston. And then the Knicks started to gain ground. We're like, oh, hold on a second. The Knicks got a real shot. And there was a point in time where we all thought the Knicks had a real shot. But now, I'm not going to say they didn't win because of bad coaching. Let's just break it down a little bit. I'm going to let you speak 2 plus 4. Just give me 2 plus 2 for 1 second. So let's just break it down real quick. So they were also playing against the Pacers. Look what the Pacers did to the Bucks, to the Cavs. And now, not even the Knicks. Look what they're doing to the OKC. So you can't really blame that on coaching. It's something different happening in the heart of these Pacers. You see what I'm saying? So I would get back around to, what I would do differently as a coach. So keep in mind, I'm currently watching the tapes right now because I don't want to have to get ready. I want to stay ready. But
with respect to the Pacers, right, with the special things that you're alluding to, that's
correct.
True, right?
Correct.
But the position is open because the Knicks want,
that's right.
Get to that level. So my question was, what would you add, whether it's
the
genius minds that have been around, right? What would you add to that locker room to put them over the top?
Yeah, so I think defense and offense wins both. That's what I did. Also, teamwork. You got to understand, before I got to the Lakers, I was the go-to guy. On a team where Yao Ming and T-Mac wasn't there, we took the Lakers to 7. So understanding, the different rhythms and the ups and downs of a playoff series and also of a season. You got to understand, when I got to Houston, I was only playing 5 minutes a game because T-Mac was playing. And Shane, now, I would question I should have been playing for sure. T-Mac get hurt. I come back to start, and then I take the team. I start to lead that team with Yao Ming. I was the second guy after Yao. You understand? We get into the playoffs. We beat a team that was a 3 seed. We was a 6 seed. We beat Brandon Roy and them, and then we almost beat the Lakers. Yao Ming broke his foot in game 3. So that's what other people don't understand. We took them to game 7, and then the next year I went to the Lakers. I was a role player. The reason I say that is because I see it from both angles. I've played.
Ron.
Yes.
Can I ask a quick thing?
Please.
Respectfully, you will know a role player. The 2010 against the Phoenix Suns, Game 5. That shot, it changed legendaries, bro. Legacies. Let's keep it on Routers. Bro, you will know about his role player, bro.
But let me give you a perspective on it.
Can you talk about that game? Because that shot, bro, that was a big shot.
Let me give you perspective on it.
I have one question for you,
All right.
If it's all
Well, hold on. Let me answer that question first.
Please answer the question. Please answer.
Yeah, let me get that question. Then everybody just we're gonna get to it. Then thanks for joining the Spaces. So check it out. When I first got on Spaces, I was on mute. I'm like, man, why is nobody on my Spaces? Because I was on mute. So anyway, we off mute now, and I really appreciate y'all hopping. So in terms of that game, let's talk about it under the context of what I'm trying to do now and bring a title to New York City.
Amari was balling in that series from game 3 on against Balcazar.
Yeah.
Legendary series.
Yeah, let's talk about it from the perspective of what I'm trying to do now. So I say role player because the question before that, I think it was Robert, that's what I'm bringing. The ability to adjust, right? The ability to work with, I was a go-to guy in Indiana. I averaged 24 points before the Bro. I averaged 18 before that if people want to say that was only 9 games. Well, I averaged 20 in Sacramento if people want to say I never averaged 20. Well, I averaged over 20 in all the closeout games in 2010 after being a role player. That's adjustments. Some games you take 4 shots. Phil Jackson came to me in game 5. We had 2 games left. I had 4 points because Kobe was doing all the work. Phil says, Metta, I need you to score. I say, okay, no problem. 18 in game 6, 20 in game 7. And this is what I'm bringing. Adjustments. And this is not taking anything away from anyone else. This is not taking anything away from Tibbs. I love Tibbs. This is just saying what I'm bringing. And I don't want to give too much because, I got experience coaching, so I can get that when I get into the office. I can really break down like what I want to do with this team. I've played the point guard before, so I understand that position. If you look at my series, look at game 3 against the Spurs, Sacramento Kings against the Spurs. Look at game 3. When I got to Sacramento in February, when I got traded from Indiana, we was in last place. This is in the West, okay? After the year after the Brawl. I get there, I say we're going to go to the playoffs. They's like, no way in the West. We go to the playoffs, 26-11. That's leadership. And then if you look at, I'm bringing the ball up. When you look at the end of the game, you see where they're going. They're going to me with the ball. And when you looked at how I guarded some of the best players that are Hall of Famers right now, and then look how they guarded me. Or couldn't guard me, by the way. So that's what I'm bringing. That's a lot of experience, plus coaching for the last 10 years. So now you're bringing this player experience with the coaching experience with someone who can make the adjustment. Oh, this job is available now. Look how quick I got the buzz going out. Now you got athletes saying, oh, I want to coach too. I don't want to get into that. But I clearly want to coach because that job was, that tweet went out. I was on it in 5 minutes and look where we at right now.
Absolutely. When you look at the Knicks and they promote their wings as defensive wings, right?
Right.
Do you view OG Anunoby or Mikal Bridges as somebody who you could, morph into that modern day meta world piece, that modern day real stopper, or do you feel like they play a different game?
In comparison, I love basketball. I love the two-mile home a little bit. I was a different type of player, and I think those guys are different. When I'm looking at you need to play defense and offense, and not everyone body type is going to allow them to be a lockdown defender. So it can't be an excuse, right? As a coach,
Brunson's size.
Say what?
So how would you get around Brunson's size coupled with Cat's, weaker defense?
Yeah, and that's where you got to get on the grind.
How would you fix that?
Well, they did fix it this year. They were up against, my beloved Pacers. I love the Pacers, Coach Carlisle, the organization. They were up. So, this is not a thing where, okay, you have to rebuild the whole house. This is a thing where the plumbing is not working. Just fix the plumbing. They played well, right? You're not going to get Wembanyama. Everybody can't have Wembanyama. Everybody can't have the Greek freak. It should not distract you from trying to win a title. So how do you get around it? You got to look at your strengths. You got to be ready to adjust. You got to protect the ball, right? Just protecting the ball alone. So from those, so it's a lot here. It's a lot here, which is why I'm excited. You don't see me looking for any other position. Some people say, yeah, Metta World Peace is trying to just get a job. What? If I was just trying to get a job, I would just have been an assistant. I have a goal to win a title in New York City as a head coach, right? I have a goal. So from that perspective, I love what they have with or without me, but I don't want people to say, "Oh, Metta said he's not interested in coaching," because these people they edit sound bites.
So to be clear, even with your experience at the I think you said the Division II level,
Yes.
you want to go straight to HC, or you want to, if like let's say Jason Kidd becomes a Knicks head coach or one of these candidates, would you be interested in getting in a room, or you're just kind of like letting people know you're the alpha, and if you really want to get to that next level, this is where I'm available to you?
Well, I'm not saying that I'm an alpha and can't work under another alpha or a woman or a beta or an alpha woman or alpha male. I can work for anyone. That's what I do.
Right.
So I'm not saying that. What I am saying is I'm only focused on bringing a title to New York City as a head coach. That's just my personal freedom as a human to think freely.
I respect that.
You see what I'm saying? So I'm not saying I'm too good for anyone. I'm just saying I'm dreaming. I have a dream. And it's a real, and it's reality, because you got to think about it. I came from New York.
Mm-hmm.
I stayed at St. John's when all the other All-Americans was leaving New York City because of the pressure, right, of their friends and family. I withstood all of that. Got championships at LaSalle Academy, championships all around New York City as a youth. So I got that whole resume as a youth around the city. And then also St. John's, bringing St. John's back on the map, helping Felipe Lopez get to the NCAA tournament. He'd never been there before I got there. And then I left school early because I needed a little money. I had a child that's 16 years old. You understand? So I left school early. But so from that perspective, now what the last piece of that puzzle is 1999, and this is respectful. This is not putting the organization on blast. This is just speaking to the fans.
And you wanted to be a Knick.
I wanted to be a Knick, and then even when my contract, I never ran from wanting to be a Knick, and now I'm not running. It's 25 years, and this is the thing. This is the thing I want to tell the fans. Okay, y'all keep saying, not everyone, just the fans that have questions. Y'all keep saying, okay, this is it. This is the year, and this is out of respect to the front office. I love the Knicks. I love Allen Houston, all those guys. But y'all, the fans keep saying, okay, this is the year. Well, I'm saying, okay, it's been 25 years, respectfully and humbly. It's been 25 years. So now I'm saying, okay, let's go back to that passion. And the passion never left for me wanting to come to the Knicks and win a title. And I did win a title. Imagine me winning DPOY in the Garden. Isn't that the New York type of player? Imagine that happening in the Garden, and when All-Stars is coming in the Garden, nobody's getting 55. Nobody's getting 30. They're getting.
I just say too personally, man. It's not above you to have that dream. I've seen it from ex-professionals who got into coaching, and people made a circus out of their dream, and now you look up and they wield a lot of power. So I appreciate you for having that belief, and I think you can do it. Here's my one of my
ask the tough questions too. Ask some tough questions.
You know, I want to know, like, and this is not really tough, but I want to know, like, do you think coaching at the NBA level is more mental or more strategic? Like, when you walk into that locker room, are you like the Phil Jackson, bringing the stage around and you know what I'm saying, getting people to believe in things that have nothing to do with what they've been taught? Because when you walk into a Knicks locker room, you got a Jalen Brunson,
right,
a Mikal Bridges, a Karl Anthony Towns. Like, these guys know how to play basketball, and a lot of the offensive systems is based off freestyling. Like, you rap. Like, it's
right.
not about getting in the studio and writing a full record. It's like, yo, put on a beat. You know what pockets you need to, what kind of tempo it is, and you play. But it's to me, the Knicks, what they missed is that killer competitive Mamba mentality, and also that Phil Jackson kind of, not the Phil we saw as an executive. I'm saying
right.
with respect to what he did with you guys, which was, hey, if you're down 5 with 6, you're down 11 with 8 minutes left, let's cut the game to this amount. You know what I mean? I think you could bring that on a level of experience. When you talk about experience, that's what I think you should lean on, because that's how you actually get players to focus. This Knicks team lacked focus, and I feel like what you can impart on them is how to break the game down mentally and to be a champion. And I think that would be where you have a leg up on a lot of these guys.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I think, like, out of respect to the season, I thought the season was great. I thought the fans was great. I thought everybody was great. And yeah, I think, if you do have a little bit left in the gas tank physically and mentally, well, let's tap into that. Did they have more in the gas tank physically and mentally, emotionally and spiritually? I mean, I don't know. I would have to ask those questions. And then if they did, well, yeah, as you just said, let's try to tap into that, right? Being down 13, somebody with my ego, I have a big basketball ego. I'm really humble, but when it comes to basketball, I love it so much, right? So somebody that thinks, I know I'm not the best, but I feel like I am, right? So I go into the league, I expect to win because I won in New York City. I was 27-0 in high school. Every year I won championships. So as I'm going to college, we go to the Elite Eight. So when I get to the NBA, I expect to do the same thing. Well, keep in mind, we had the chance, but then I got in trouble, right, as a young, immature kid, and I didn't get a title for 10 years. So I never felt like I wasn't going to get one, but I felt like time was getting short. And then being down 13 in the third quarter against the Boston Celtics in Game 7, down 13 points. That's more experience. That experience didn't come from me. That came from Derek Fisher. Derek Fisher said something in that huddle that I'm going to take with me forever. So now, when you combine it, I think you're talking, it's not going to be exactly like Phil. I think as a coach, I don't think you copycat, but you definitely absorb, you implement different strategies. And I'm fortunate enough to have played for Isaiah Thomas, Carlisle, Rick Adelman, Phil Jackson.
Wow.
That's a lot of.
See, the thing is the proximity to those guys, that imparts on your experience as well. I think for me with this Knicks roster, I think it's beyond coaching. I think it's a mentality, man. I really think it's a mentality. It's like going into a series and being ready to battle and not being pushed before you start doing the pushing. I think that's what happened to them. And they played their best basketball when they got down. It kind of fueled their fire. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I think this, and
so they lack the killer instinct, man. Can you speak on that? When you have a team, for instance, forget about the Knicks for a second. OKC's up. They're playing good basketball. They're playing great. And now they're in a spot where they're down 0-1. They may start second-guessing things that they did in Game 1 instead of trying to replicate that and then continue. When it's like a boxing match. You're not going to expect this boxer to stand there and not fight back.
Right.
What does it take when you're up 14 in a Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals? And it looks like it's the feel-good win. You're up with 3 minutes left, and you start, maybe shooting some threes with 10 seconds left on the. It's actually ironic because you're the guy that's part of what you're known for is shooting the no threes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But how do you compartmentalize that when you're up 14 and 3 minutes to go, and it feels like a win? And you're in this big moment. How do you have a killer instinct? How would you coach guys to have that, or can you even coach that?
Now, definitely, is the basketball is a rhythm. To your point, to the no threes. I got an N1 layup in that whole sequence. I got an N1 layup. I went to the free throw line, but sometimes the best shot, if it's 10 seconds on the clock, if it's 13 seconds on the clock, and Kobe passes me the ball, that's a different thought process than when it's 10 seconds or 8 seconds. You got to get the best available shot, and that's like playing the piano, right? That's you have to have a flow. And sometimes when I was the go-to guy in Houston, I'm averaging 25 against the Lakers in the playoffs. Well, when I get with Kobe as a go-to guy for my whole career, right? It's a different cadence, it's a different rhythm, and sometimes I'm not in rhythm because I'm only getting 2 shots, 6 shots. Maybe 10 shots. It just depends. So I'm not in rhythm, but guess what? The team is in rhythm.
So the Knicks have that issue right now. They have guys that could be like you were on Houston, where you're the first option. If you throw OG Anunoby or Mikal Bridges, who came from Brooklyn, first option, now he's kind of the fourth option and could be benched out of the game completely. How do you walk into that room and tell guys, I know each one of you could score 25 on a given night, but you need to trust me that, tonight this is the plan? Like, how do you get guys to?
Yeah, I think that's a flow.
Jalen Brunson to give up the ball. How do you do
See,
that?
that's more of a zone. Like, for one, it comes in training camp, right? A lot of repetition at different things, but that's more of a team being in a team zone. You look at the Pacers and Coach Carlisle, he is in a really good rhythm. It's like when you act. If you're acting, you're going to listen to the person across the aisle. You're going to see their emotions. He's listening to the change of the game and the playoff. The playoffs totally different than the regular season. And every section in the regular season was different, if you noticed. Because everybody came across this one person that said, the league is soft, the league is soft. Well, they're saying that because they're not watching. The league, it changed mid-season. So then your strategy's got to change. I don't want to talk too much about it because Carlisle did some cool things and he was able to keep pace with the other kind of actors.
Just pressing 94 feet when you don't do that in a regular
You
season.
typically,
You know what I mean?
and you know what? And that's why I don't want to give away too much.
No, I hear you. Do you think Jalen Brunson has the ability to get guys going as an engine, or do you view him more of as a scorer, like just a kind of microwave scorer, and another person probably?
I think
the offense.
I mean, when you look at Stephen Curry and Jalen Brunson, there are some things there. There are a lot of similarities that if I was coaching. Even if I wasn't coaching, which I'm not saying I don't want to coach, because people, like I said, people make edits. Oh, Metta doesn't want to coach. No. I want to be a head coach in Knicks, without putting any pressure or burden on the organization. But there's some things that he can do. You can't change your body type. You're not going to grow overnight. You're not going to just all of a sudden get become 4% body. You got to work with what you got and win with what you got, right? And yet there are some things where you can say, oh, you can tap into this piece mentally, or tap into this as some fun, tap into this set of fundamentals in different areas. Not only when you have the ball, also, right? You want to dominate the whole game. So when you're off the ball, you want to dominate. When you're on the ball, you want to dominate. And I don't want to talk too much about it because I don't want to give everything away, but there's some things there. Let's give somebody else a chance to chat. I'll bring people in. I don't typically host, but I'll just bring people in.
Is Jeremy there?
Metta.
Yeah, what's up?
Yo, so what do you think about load management in the NBA with all these players load managing, like Joel Embiid and just other people that haven't played and grinded out a full season?
I'm gonna get back to that question, franchise. Let me get somebody else because they had their hand up. I'm gonna get back to that question. I'm gonna bring in El Jefe, and then I'm gonna get back to you. Okay.
Man, it's a pleasure to talk to you.
My guys.
It's El Jefe, but you can look it up.
Real quick before your question, you said what? Sorry, you said what?
I said it's El Jefe, not Jefe.
Oh, sorry, El Jefe, what's going on?
Can I call you Ron?
Anything you want, baby. Anything you want. Let's do it.
So listen, man, what I love about you is your whole story and everything. It was a tough upbringing for you in Queensbridge, right? So, and I like what you're saying about the 360 aspect of coming back here and coach. I like that you've been through the eye of the needle. I think, more people in this world need to go through what you've gone through. I think people are too soft. I think you could relate to these NBA players too. The only question I want to ask you is, have you coached before? What's your coach?
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. And this is the thing that people don't understand, because if you're watching the Knicks, you're not necessarily paying attention to Ron Artest. I'm not in the media no more. I actually got rid of I got 200,000 followers on Instagram. I got rid of my Instagram every time I got up to 250,000 followers because I don't like a lot of followers. What I do in my business, I don't need followers because I'm an operator. That makes sense. So these questions is valid to the fans. But in my coaching, yes, I'll give you the history. After my practices, I guess with the Lakers, my second stint, 2016-17, I would go to my girls' high school practice at Palisades High School. Under head coach Torino Johnson, where we have 2 championships. I was coaching while I was playing, getting ready to coach. That's documented. Then after that, I was mentoring You'll still see my players, Julius Randle, Brandon Ingram, Zubac. Those are all the guys that came up under our veteranship. Okay? So then the next year when I retired, I did part-time with the G League because my career was so long mentally where I needed a break. So I did part-time with the Laker G League, where players would call me at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. to come to the gym. So keep in mind, this is the G League, and players that are not playing calling me at 3 a.m. to go to the gym, and I was there. That's documented by different players.
2017 to 2018 with the South Bay Lakers.
Okay, great. And then lastly, I was coaching Cal State LA women's basketball. Now, yes, it's women's basketball, and yes, it's Division II, but I'm not sitting on my butt. I'm prepping. I was the associate head coach. We take the team from not going to the NCAA tournament for the 20 years in Los Angeles to going 2 years in a row. Last year we had a major injury, but we was ranked, I think, top 5 or top 10 going into the season. Total turnaround, right? So that shows you the patience that we have and the ability that we have. You know, that shows you what I was doing on defense. We played against Stanford, and the coach from Stanford, look at the quote. She said, this Cal State team, this Division II team is pretty incredible. That's Stanford. You understand? We're our little Division II team. So in terms of experience, I hope that lets you know that's 10 years of experience. Now, keep in mind, now NBA experience, I was trying to get a few positions, and I don't want to mention it because this is not about anybody else. It's about the Knicks, and I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus. I'm not that type of guy. But I did get some people saying they was going to call me, and they didn't. So that was experience that I could have got, but I lost. And that's not my fault. So what do? I just keep finding another way to challenge myself. For example, if I'm playing basketball, how did I go from 15 to 24, or how did I become a scorer in the league? Well, if I'm in New York City and I can't find a gym, I got to go walk to the park, right? I got to get better under the circumstances that I have, and I became great. That's what I did in coaching. I got to challenge myself. So these Division II have challenged me, and now keep in mind, you never heard me come out this much for a Knicks coaching position, right? So the why now? Because I'm ready now. Yeah, I'm 45 and I'm ready now. And keep in mind, people will say, well, why don't you be an assistant coach? Or some people was mentioning money, like you want to do for the money. But
go ahead. I was gonna ask you that.
But hold on, I'm gonna let you answer that. Let me give you my last point. Let me give you my last point. Last point.
Yeah, get it in.
So keep in mind, you don't hear me talking about like this about other teams, right? If it was truly about the money, then I would have took anything available. I'm very intentional about bringing a title to New York City. So hopefully that inspires you to be like, oh, here's the real deal. Okay, what's your second question? We get somebody else.
Yeah, no, I think that you should, get some experience as an assistant coach, in the NBA, and because it's a big ask to try to get this.
Yeah, but you talking to somebody. But you talking to somebody.
I'm not being adversarial.
No, you can be adversarial. That's okay.
You're gonna run up against this, Ron. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna run up against people saying, "Yo, you got some G League experience, but that's about it." Like Division II. I mean, you got to be an assistant somewhere, and you got such ties with LA. I mean, you want to fucking chip for them with that shot. So.
Okay. I'm gonna give you a chance to chat. Okay, I respect that. Okay, and that's true. I'm gonna agree with you 100%. So let me start out saying that I agree with you 100%. Now let me say that my experience is legendary because I've been the go-to guy, and I've been on the bench. I've ran defenses while I was playing. So from my lens, you don't really see the only experience that you might be referring to is have you been on the bench? Well, yeah, for 17 years the coaches have been coming to me, going to me, in different plays, and so from that perspective, from the when you got an opportunity to go see something, I think the Eminem got that song. It's called One Mic or One Something. I forget what it's called. Or one shot, right? And when you got the shot, you got to take it. So it's not the time to be on the bench. We saw that happen to SGA last game. it's not the time to be. I don't want to get him too motivated, but it's not the time to pass up on shots. This is not the time to pass up on shot. This is the time to take the shot. Why? Because this team is good now. We in the city. It's been 25 years since I've been trying, and then it's been since 1973. So we don't have a lot of time because Wembanyama is coming. Wembanyama is coming, my guys. Do you understand who that guy is? Do you understand what's happening? So for me, and wanting to see the city win a title, for me, I don't think I got a lot of time. Right?
Why do you want to bring New York a title so bad? What is the motivation?
I'm from New York. That's it.
Right. He is New York.
I'm from New York.
What would it mean to you?
It would mean to all of us, to the city.
Would it mean more? It would be the biggest accomplishment of your career?
It would be huge. It would be astronomical.
I'm telling you right now, if you won a championship as a head coach of the New York Knicks, that would be what you're remembered for. Like 1,000%.
I mean, you answered your own question. And, and thank you for that question. That's a great question. I really appreciate you asking me that. It's simple as that. As divided as we are on our opinions, because every New York is different. We know. We're from New York. We know who we are. And everybody got their own different opinions constantly. But one thing we know is we from New York. One thing we like, even though we hop on the bandwagon, and anytime somebody does something wrong, we smash them. See, it's up to me not to get smashed. It's up to me to smash you, respectfully, fans. Sorry. But it's up for me to go back and smash you, right? I got to go. The reason I got to smash you, respectfully, my fans, the reason is because we can't lose focus. We can't become fair. We can't become fearful. Sometimes, you know us in New York City. We get on top of you.
Do you think that's why the Knicks played a little better on the road as opposed to home, because they were hearing all the chatter at home, and on the road they could focus a little bit more on basketball?
Well, I would say, let me go back to Carmelo Anthony. He put his career on the line by coming to New York City. Every shot Carmelo took, you don't even remember it hitting the rim for the most part. That goes to show you that, yes, it is a lot of pressure, but for people, not for everyone. Like a guy like Melo. He went to the smoke. I love Melo. I want to retire his jersey the first game because I already know that we want to win a title, and it'll be a great segue into a title. Having Melo retire his jersey right away because he sacrificed so much. And you're right. The reason I say that is because it's a little bit difficult, but you can work through it. That's why I'm always talking.
One thing, the Knicks players, and you're a Knicks player and I'm a Knicks fan, and we have a relationship whether we know it personally or we don't. I always feel like the Knicks fan appreciates the Knicks player not based off wins and losses, but based off effort.
And we got to get beyond that. We got to get beyond that because.
Okay, explain what we have to get beyond that.
So let me explain that. Yes, and I'll let anytime speak to. So let me have to tell you. So we accept losing too much in this city. We get so excited for Final Four. We get excited for the Elite Eight. Okay, great. Metta took the team to the Elite Eight. That's not a championship.
I respect that.
You understand?
You think it's possible Jalen Brunson's too small for the Knicks to actually win a chip, given the other teams in the league? Seriously.
No. Look at Avery Johnson. No way. Look at Jordan Farmer. I understand what you're saying, maybe to be a leader, but then you got to look at Isaiah Thomas. It's not one thing, right? It's always like because basketball is a team sport. So you got to watch the movement of the group. Because Jalen Brunson, imagine not having him. What would you do without a Jalen Brunson? Who are you going to get with that mentality? I'm not trying to get into the front office position or anything because this is not meant to be getting in anyone's way. But who else you going to get with that type of heart? That's going to be difficult. Let me bring an anytime speaker real quick.
Yeah, Jay, go ahead, Jay.
Yo, man. Yo, shout out to you. Yo, Ron, I'm a big fan, man. I ain't gonna even lie, man. I just remember so many memories being young, watching you and Kobe battle, man. And then, when you became a Laker, And y'all, you know what I'm saying? Y'all was teammates, man. That shit was so special to me, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm a big Kobe fan. You being from New York, from Queens, and making it to the league, I got tremendous amount of respect for you, brother. Just wanted to start by saying that.
Thank you, sir.
And yeah, man. My handle is Anytime Knicks, but my name is Jay from East New York, man. I'm from Brooklyn.
East New York, baby. Let's do it.
That's a fact. You feel me? So like, I came up because I wanted to talk to you about like the park element not being in the game anymore. I just watched Lance Stevenson and Michael Beasley at one-on-one. I paid $20 to watch them guys because I knew it was going to be exciting. Me being a Brooklynite, me being a New Yorker, going to Gersh Park, you know what I'm saying, watch guys ball out. That's something that really, like, it was like a summertime thing. You feel me? Like, you love the energy, you love to be around that. But like, to be somebody that's on that court, it take a certain amount of toughness, a certain amount of grittiness. Like, you got to have flair. You got to have that personality.
Right.
And I feel like Lance, he exhibited that well yesterday. You feel me? Even though he didn't get the win.
Yeah.
But can you talk about why some of these players, like, don't seem to have that toughness? Like, do you think that playing outside and, like, you know, like, the AAU aspect, has that changed things? Like, can you talk about that? And I have one more question that's Knicks related after that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, definitely. I'll talk about that. Then we'll get the franchise, then we'll get the Yankee. But let me talk and get you your question. So, you know, when I was playing in the NBA, you know, I would go back. It's all documented. It's all in all the parks. Whether you go to Kingdom, 119th, the 5th unit, you go to Watson, you go anywhere. I played on concrete. I would play 3 to 4 games a day during the prime of my, you know, my early years, 23, 24, during my prime. So for me, I always wanted to come back to the city because I feel like the players, they gave me that sense of, if I can make it in New York, if I can go up against DP or go up against Strip, who passed away, you know, Junie Sanders, if I can play well against these guys, then I know I could do it in the NBA. You know, I got MVP in Nike Pro City. When I got MVP in Nike Pro City, well, the next year, I played well with the Rockets in the following years. So for me, the concrete is like my oxygen. Even though I live in LA for the last 16 years, concrete for me is something different. I think a lot of New Yorkers feel like that. You know, we're a proud group, right? And so for me, it's like, you know, when I'm talking about the red bricks, yeah, maybe I'm throwing on a little slang every now and then, but I really feel like that. You know, I really feel like, you know, the red bricks, concrete, that, you know, street ball, and I respect them. Look at Jamal Tinsley and Rafe Alston. Those two was not supposed to make it. They were some you know, kind of some street dudes. And for them to make it, it reminded me of like a Booger Smith who didn't make it, a Ali Mo who didn't make it, you know, even like a Junie Sanders, you know, who didn't make it. So for me, we hold all that. And we never had no one like me really represent us because the way we are, right, in New York City. So now you get somebody like myself, even though I'm more professional and I do a lot of things in corporate. I read contracts myself, 100-page contracts, all that stuff myself. But, you know, when you talk about the passion, when the passion come out, you getting that New York. And sometimes, and people don't think that type of person could execute. But I think I could bring the operational side, the academic side, the nerd side along with that, you know, that concrete red brick side.
Would you mind sharing your associates who you would bring on with you? Or
yeah, I'm gonna get to that question after Yankee. Let me get to Anytime's next question. I got you, Robert.
All right, so my next one is simple, Ron. It's a lot of talk about Giannis possibly coming to the Knicks. I don't know if you spoke about it because I joined the space. I wasn't here from the jump. So my question to you is, would you pull a trigger? Would you make that trade? Would you go all in and try to find a way to get Giannis and pair him with Cat and Jalen Brunson?
Well, for me, since my goal is to be head coach of the Knicks, I think I'll be shooting myself in the foot if I was to answer something like that. And I don't want to do that right now.
I respect it.
You know what I'm saying? It's just I'm the last horse in the race. I'm not even in the field yet. So I'm trying to gain momentum with this horsepower. I think my horse got the biggest power.
We're going to get you there, brother.
They just got to open up the gates and they'll see my horse is slick and powerful. So I don't want to answer that just yet. But what I am going to say is I'll work with what I got. Let's go to franchise real quick. I know you asked a question. All right, we'll go.
I got a quick question.
Yo,
Hold on. Let somebody else get a shot. I'll come back to you after Robert. I got you.
yo,
Franchise.
Yeah, Ron. So, yeah, what's up, man? It's been a while.
My guy, franchise. What's good, baby?
Yeah, it's all good. I just had a quick question. So, yeah, load management. I mean, I don't want to point anyone out. You know, I don't want to. I'm not trying to disrespect our athletes. I know it's a tough way of playing. It's tough. Practice makes perfect. The practices with you and Kobe must have been wars. You know, iron sharpens iron. But what do you think of that nowadays? You think that it's kind of taken away from some of the game?
Load management. You know, as someone who wants to head coach, I'm going to look at my reports, what we got to do, and if load management is something we're doing, we're going to do it. Now, in terms of my era, you know, when we were tired, we played more. Like when my legs was tired and I knew I was going to have a bad game, like I knew I was not going to be there. You know, I just played. I wasn't looking at percentages. So load management for us is not a real thing. You know, if you have an injury, you play through it. If you look at when I was in Indiana, you can look it up on Google. You'll see an image with me and Vince Carter. You'll see my thumb. I had a surgery. I came back in 5 days, and I played to go. I went to go play against Vince without a thumb. It was literally I had surgery, and I injured it again. So that hurt my shooting because I couldn't really shoot. Then you'll see a lot of different pictures, even at Game 3 against the Spurs and Sacramento Kings in 2006 or 7. You'll see my right hand. You'll see that hand has surgery. So load management is not a real thing. Even my last game when we played against the Spurs in 2012, you'll see I had a meniscus surgery and I came back in 7 days. You got to think about that. A meniscus surgery. I came back in 7 days. I was supposed to be out 6 weeks because load management is not a thing. But I can't fault a player for today for taking advantage of load management. For me, it's not a thing. But if that's something that would have to be implemented, we would implement it. So
would you say that? Oh, sorry.
No, you good.
Or would you say that if the triangle were to work today in today's day with Tex Winter, rest in peace, but his tutelage and with Phil Jackson,
right?
And obviously your smarts and your defensive bullets. Who would you build a triangle offense around?
Well, the triangle. The triangle. This is a different day and age. You got to be able to. It's like if you're playing piano and you want it to flow, and you hit that one key where it don't flow, and you're like, damn, what the hell is that? Like, the triangle worked at a point in time. The game has changed, and the game is constantly changing. So when it makes sense, it makes sense. If it don't make sense, there's no need to force a circle and a square. Whether the rules or whether it's the players. I don't want to get too much into it because I don't want to give away all my strategies because I want to try to coach.
No, you're fine.
Let's get into the Yankees question.
Lastly, quick question.
Okay.
Who would you compare your defense to today's player? What player would you compare your style of defense? Like I've seen you. There's some ridiculous plays, and I know this isn't a question, but.
So yeah, I think I would compare my style of defense a Kawhi, because Kawhi played both ends of the floor, and then also that's the only one I can compare to because I had to expend energy on offense and defense. So I would say Kawhi. I think Yankee. We got you too, right? I think Yankee was next.
Hey, thank you, Pandas friend. I appreciate you.
For sure.
I want to ask you the questions that, again, I want to keep it on coaching.
Yes, sir.
You brought up a big topic, so I'm just getting you ready for the questions that you
I want all the hard questions.
All right, so obviously you just talked about the triangle, but right now, as you said correctly, it's a new generation. Pick and roll is the most spammed play in basketball across all borders. So as head coach of a New York Knicks team, knowing that you got Jalen Brunson, knowing that you got Karl Anthony Towns, how would you view defending a pick and roll? What could you say to Leon Rose or the New York Knicks or the New York Knicks fans or players on how you would defend a pick and roll? And I just want to sit here and listen.
And so right, definitely. And you're talking about defending a pick and roll versus running a pick and roll. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right, I don't want to give away too much, but there's that. So I don't want to give away too much because, like I said, I'm trying to get this job. But it's the way you guard the pick and roll. You got. I saw things that I would have loved to have been on staff with Tibbs. I'm not saying I want to be an assistant coach because I don't want people to get that wrong. People start making edits. Metta said he'd be an assistant. I want to focus on being a head coach. But I saw things that I would have threw in his ear. A pick and roll. It all depends on who's on offense, where the shoot is, who's on the floor, where are you at on the floor, where's the screen being initiated, what options do I have after that, and then where is the ball and really where's the ball going next, a pass or a dribble penetration, and then how are we adjusting, and then how are we getting out of a rotation, whether it's a drive or off a pass. And it happens at the screen, okay? The Metta World piece clamp down on your ankle, crush it, lockdown happens at the point of the screen. So based off my statement there, there's a lot that I would do guarding screen and roll. A lot that I would do guarding screen and roll. You should take what I just said and actually watch the tape and then kind of play a little, put a puzzle together. What would you do? And I think I gave you a lot.
Yeah, and you did, and I just got a follow up for that.
Yeah.
That was, you answered that perfectly. Everyone understood. I obviously, the Knicks were included, and this is my last question, World, and then I'm out. Like, obviously, the Knicks played a heavy drop. Obviously, you're talking about the point of attack.
Right.
Would you, as head coach of the New York Knicks, would you have changed that, in your opinion? And again, obviously, we're rooting for you to be the head coach. I just want your honest answer, because your honesty, that's what makes you one of the best in the NBA to ever beat it. So, would you change the drop? And then I'm out.
Absolutely. Thanks. That's a great question. Because I don't, there's a lot of different sensitive factors here. One is I'm not even in the race. Publicly I am. It's people's champ. So two, Tibbs just got fired or let go. I say let go. I don't want to use the word fired. And I didn't expect it. I was at a small island at a coffee shop, hoping one day I can coach the Knicks. And wow, a tweet happened. So from that perspective, now what would I have done differently, or what would I have done without giving away too much of the sauce? All right. At the point.
Differently.
No, don't word it differently.
Talk to me then.
Yeah, don't word it differently. That's perfect. At the point of the screen, what are your options? Right. At the point of that screen, what option? It's like human symmetry. If you look at your human body, and now I'm giving away a little bit too much, but if you look at the symmetry, that old that statue that we see when the hands is out, and the whole symmetry is like in a big circular form, almost like a circular form. What are your options? Also, your physical gifts. So when you match symmetry with your physical gifts, and then what is your mentality? Right? Do we got to build that mentality? Because you build that early so you can get ready for it when you're tired in the playoffs and you have no energy. You can't depend on your body in the fourth quarter. Your body is saying, sir, I am tired. Can we go home? You can't hear that voice. So it's a mix of all of that. And then it's also a mix of, where are the other three players? What type of players do you have? If you have a Metta World piece, well, I can help off a shooter. You see what I'm saying? I understand how to help off a shooter, a lights out shooter. I understand the timing and the cadence of it. So you got to figure that out. You got to figure out who you have. Some information is too much for certain people. And you got to figure that out. So in terms of, and this is very important for the point of a screen, because the point of the screen is that's where all the magic happens, right? That's where all the magic is happening. So I answered that, and I'm hoping to be able to answer that in a practice.
You answered it perfectly for me. I'm gonna drop down. Appreciate you, Panda's friend.
Absolutely, Robert. I know you wanted to ask another question, and then
I love what you're talking about, man. And I kind of wish you were in the huddle with us a week ago. But who would you bring on as your associates? Who would you bring on with you?
Who would I bring on as associates? I'm being super political right now. So let me just say, for me, it's a little too early because I don't want to. If I did have the opportunity for a miracle Hail Mary, right, that I would have to catch, and had the opportunity even for a meeting, who would I bring in? I need dogs, and not just dogs physically that's strong with big muscles. I need mental dogs. You know, I need emotional dogs, and meaning like people that could not just be rah rah rah, you know, but people that could think under pressure. You know, because you got to think about what we're trying to do. We're trying to win in the biggest city in the world, the greatest city in the world, under fan pressure. You understand? Under fan pressure. So the type of staff is going to have to be unique. It's going to have to be super unique. This is no disrespect to any. Like I said, I love all the coaches. All the coaches, you know, for me, if a coach is getting their money, I won't even apply for certain jobs because I'll be so happy that if somebody else is getting money. I go on vacation when I see somebody else got a job. That's how happy I am for other people. So this is not saying like, oh, Metta comes in, he thinks he's all this. And no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying I love coaching. I'm saying I have a goal. It's like if I wanted to put out a platinum album, I'm going to do 100 songs, you know, and I'm going to try to pick the best. Or if I wanted to go to the NBA, I'm going to work hard so I can go to the NBA. It's like you got to set goals because if you don't have a goal in life or if you don't have a mission, we see people get lost. And so I don't have time to be lost in life. So that's why I want to be a head coach. And I say that because the type of staff that, you know, I would pick would be as such, you know, and I know them all. You know, I know how to interview. I know how, you know, the way I played the game was incredible. I can listen to somebody and see if it's the right fit. But also you do that with the front office. You gotta work in conjunction. You can't really undermine.
I actually had a follow up with that, right?
Please.
So how do you value communication between you and the front office, and you and your assistants, and you and your players, and do you welcome different information, whether it be analytics, things like that? How would you include communication, and how would you include the new kind of analytics into your coaching? Yeah,
you absorb it all. You know, it's like if you made this is a silly analogy, but I'm going to make it. But, you know, if you have a cookie, you make a cookie with just some dough, you add some chocolate chips. Now you got a chocolate chip cookie. You want to add some peanut butter. Now you got a peanut butter, chocolate chip cookie. I love cookies. Now, with analytics, it's something new. This technology didn't exist before, so you read that data and you look at how you can implement it. You take the social data that when you're talking to the front office or when you're talking personally face-to-face with a player, you absorb all that data and then you make it one. You create something with it, if that makes sense. And with analytics, it's really interesting. I went back to school for digital analytics when I retired. But I did it for marketing. I also did business analytics at Concordia Irvine. I was back in 2 schools when I retired. I did some extension courses. And then I also got a dev shop. I got 32 developers in-house. I know I got a lot of things going on, but my CEO is the former CEO of Boost Mobile, by the way. So I don't want nobody making an excuse. No, Metta got too much going on. My CEO is incredible. He sold the company for $500 million, and he ran Boost Mobile, you know, $4 billion a year revenue company, and we just another company. So I'm totally focused on coaching, but I say that because when you talk about analytics, I got a team of developers that build analytics. By the way, you know, I've been talking to. I got 4 CTOs, right? Logistics, gaming, information systems, and then my AI CTO. So when we're talking about tech, we already talking about we could do this and that. So I already been thinking about that. Ironically, that gives me another upper hand because I understand how to read data personally, right? I understand analytic product and I understand the importance of it. This is not saying I'm any better than anybody else. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying I do understand the importance of analytics. I do understand the importance of communication. If I'm trying to win, I'm gonna do anything it takes. For example, when I went to go when I think my psychiatrist on national TV after the Laker game, like I didn't feel confident that I was mentally ready that game. So I called her from Houston. She flew in. We had a talk. That's communication. I said, I need to see you because I'm feeling a certain way. I don't want to get a tech. I really didn't want to get a technical foul that game. So I called my therapist and said, we got to talk because I want to go into this game easy. So from that perspective, communication, you embed it, implement it, integrate it into your life.
Last one. According to reports, the Knicks players were frustrated they didn't know their roles, and that ultimately led to them kind of just in the end of year reports talking about Tibbs in a light that maybe led him to being relieved of his duties, right? How do you, being a former player and a current coach and a data analyst and business owner, how do you let people know their roles, and how do you get people to buy into their roles?
Well, that's not to base it off what people was hearing about under the Tibbs administration, but that's something that I don't need to explain in terms of a rebuttal. That's something that's understood. That's something that comes with what we're bringing, to the table. You have to, as a player, you have to know your role, and sometimes you got to have the hard conversation, like a Metta World Peace, for example. In my prime, at 29 years old, I went from averaging 25 in my contract year to playing with Kobe to averaging 7 points. So keep in mind, we know what that means. That's a lot of money on the table, right? So I asked for a trade, and then they told me, Mitch and Dr. Buss, RIP Dr. Buss, he's like, hey, we love you here. We know it's not your role, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, now I got to play a role. So then I said, I got to be the best role player. I got to be the best role player. But if you look at the game to feed my ego, when you look at the games that my brother, RIP Kobe, didn't play, I averaged 18.9 because I was asking myself, I said, man, I suck. I was telling myself. But I'm like, damn, I don't think I suck. So then I said, let me do some research. So when I researched the game, look at the game. Lakers versus the Spurs. I think it was 2012. Look at how I played, and keep in mind, Kobe didn't play that game. Look at how I played that game. That's somebody that they said was washed up. I had 26. When Kobe came back, I went back to having 4, back to having 8. You see what I'm saying? So that's and that's experience, and that's hard because you're talking about. Ain't no way I averaged 28, 25 as a 28-year-old, right, against the best team, and then in a matter of May, June, July, August, September, October, in a matter of six months, I got worse. I was 29, so I was still good, but I had to accept the role. The Mamba's king, he's a killer, and I got to give him room to be a killer. Then you got Pau Gasol. I got to give Pau Gasol room to be him. And then you got the rest of us. And then, Derek Fisher, he going to hit big shots. All the time, not sometimes, all the time. So then sometimes you might have 2 points. Sometimes you might have 15. Oh, sometimes when I got the opportunity in Game 7, oh, wow, I actually shine. I didn't know I was going to shine. I didn't go into that game thinking I was going to shine. But I went into that game ready, if that makes sense. I went into that game ready.
Speaking of a big game, let me ask you a quick question, yeah?
Yes, sir.
2010 playoffs. The first 2 games you guys smoked the Suns. Yeah?
Right.
And then everybody had questions about the Suns and especially Amari, and they came back in Game 3 and Game 4.
Yes.
Can you talk about what was the mentality going to Game 5? Because that was the key game in my opinion.
That was a crucial game. So
what was the adjustment?
So Game 5, yeah. Game 5 I had 26, right? So
exactly.
So Game 5, the games before that, I didn't have as many points. And like I said, it's a rhythm. If you're playing piano and you don't have to touch the far keys on the right yet, don't go to those keys yet. Stay where you're supposed to be. When a note comes and the opportunity comes, then you go down to the other keys. That's how my game was. I didn't have to pull out nothing in Game 3 and 4. Or Kobe was in a rhythm even though we lost. But in Game 5, these different things presented itself like. people playing off me. Well, I'm saying you playing off me, someone that averaged 24 before, someone that took the Kings from last place in half a season and got them to the playoffs, somebody that, almost beat the Lakers. I said, y'all out of y'all mind. Whap, 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 whap. Game over. And then the next game, I had, I think, 7 points. You see what I'm saying? The next game, I had a game winner, but I missed. I was 1 for 9 or something crazy, terrible percentage, by the way. So, but I can't let that break me down. I got to, for example, we had a game in game 3 against the Celtics, or I think it was game 4, because at that time it was 2-3-2. So at game 4, I hit my first 2 threes. I feel great about it. But I was 2 for 4 for the game. I was 2 for 4. But I went away that game like, ooh, if I would have got more open looks, I would have been like, that's how I had to go away from that game, with the exception of not letting the ego get in the way, so then I can be a role player. Also, come back down to earth.
PF, I don't mean to cut you off because I know you got more people, but I love this topic about communication.
Right.
So here's another question from Knicks management, asking head coach Metta World Peace. You're talking about communication. Like, how would you communicate with the rookies? Like, you just spoke that you spent the last 10 minutes speaking about communication with your role.
Right.
Rookies on this roster: Tyler Coley, Kevin McCullough Jr., Bacone Dadier, Ariel Hukporti.
Right.
You was coach of the New York Knicks. How would you communicate their role? How would you factor them in?
Well, when you're a rookie, not even being a rookie, when you are where you are in your life, right? Sometimes mistakes come with that. Sometimes you see glimpses of greatness or glimpses of potential value add to a team. But sometimes the mistakes can be so astronomically dangerous to so many things. You have to give them time to develop, or sometimes you get a Tim Duncan where you're just ready to go. And that's that's where you give them a shot and you see where they at. And then at some point in time, you're going to go into your rotation, right? So some people might have started out playing bad and then ended up playing good, but maybe the coach made up their mind for a certain section of the season. So you just got to stay with it, because you just never know. You never know in basketball. Somebody gets hurt, unfortunately. Somebody fouls out. 2 people foul out, right? So you just got to stay ready as a rookie, and then, like I said, you got to see where that player is at in their basketball life. It's not really nothing about being a rookie or a vet. Let's get to Raptures. I'll come back to you.
Real quick, Coach. I just got a follow up, and then I'm done.
Please, no worries.
You're the way that you're speaking, I'm gravitating towards it. Obviously, the new modern NBA is big with shooting threes. What would be your philosophy as head coach of the New York Knicks? Would you want to analyze shooting more? Would you analyze shooting less? Points in the paint? How would you view it? And now I'm done.
Now you're good. Now you got to analyze. You got to have an analysis 100%, because you got to have that communication. When we first got introduced to all these 3-pointers, it was good, but it was like overkill. Now when you look at it, as who's in the finals, what shot did Halliburton hit last game? That was a mid-range shot. You got to work on your game. And then the game is going to speak for itself. Kobe didn't, when I hit 5 threes in game 5 against the Suns, that was 2010. I didn't know I was going to take 5 threes. I didn't know I was going to make 4 threes in game 6 in the finals. It just happens that way. 4 threes is a lot of threes if I'm not mistaken. It's the same game, right? And now the game is a little bit more aggressive. If you look at the game now, it's really aggressive. Look at Siakam. He's very effective just getting to the basket. Okay? So if you're a 3-point shooter, let's work it out. We'll make sure we absorb the information and we become one. And you do what you do, and you do what you do for the team also. You gotta drive the ball. You gotta drive the ball sometimes. Right? You can't just be stuck out there. It never works when you're just stuck out there. And you just think like, oh, I'm gonna be a 3-and-D guy. No, just be a smart player. Listen to what we're doing as a team. right? And I think that's how you treat it. And you know what? The Pacers, as much defense as they play, they are a great three-point shooting team. And they shoot a lot of threes, by the way, right? And they play a lot of defense. That's their makeup. So I think you don't have to force it.
Tibbs' main philosophy is the game tells you what to do. What do you think about that? Do you think that's valid, or do you feel like you should be doing something to the game as opposed to the game telling you what to do?
Appreciate you, Metta. I'm a drop, so somebody.
My guys, absolutely. Thanks for joining. I think you got to go get it, and then adjust. You know, you got to go get it and then make your adjustments. I think Tibbs was spot. I think he was spot on. You know, I love Tibbs, man. Tibbs. When I saw Tibbs coaching, I was like, yeah. I was like, you know, but Tibbs did his thing. Like, you know, throw some claps in the little chat, man. Put some claps to the chat. Like, you know, Tibbs did. He did his thing. The garden was rocking. Yo, yes, sir. That was loud too. That was dope. No, but he did his thing. It's some valid points to that, but obviously, you know, I got different DNA. So I probably won't think about it fully like that.
What do you think a player thinks when they're in the middle of a battle and their coach tells them the game is telling you what to do? Like, do they need advice in that moment, or do you feel like that's enough?
Well, I think it is enough. I think sometimes, you know, it depends where you're at in your life. Are you able to absorb some information like that? Because ideally, yeah, like let it flow. He didn't say, you know, Coach Tibbs didn't say, don't be aggressive. He said, let it flow, right? So sometimes it's like depends on where the person is at in their life. You might have to have a deeper conversation. You can get a lot of this answered in training camp in terms of communication and what can people actually hear. I coach Division II women's basketball. You understand? And you know, and you got to have different communication tools for different people. Then you got to have your singular team communication tools where, hey, this is what we're doing because this is the team. But then also you have your individual communication also. That's what Phil Jackson was great at. Let's get to Lord Franchise, and we'll get to the newcomers. Let's get to Lord Franchise.
Yo, Ron, Metta, so yeah, two-part question. So, you think the Rockets, or your Rockets 09 team, would have beat the Nuggets and then eventually went on to beat the Magic?
That's a good question. That's a good question because what we say that year with Aaron Brooks, Kyle Lowry, Yao Ming, myself, what we say that year is we lost in Game 7, and then, you know, I told you, when I was at a famous practice in the Lakers the next year when I went there, and I was going back at it with Kobe, my brother, and a few, and I was like, you know, if we would have, if Yao didn't break his foot, we would have beat y'all. Or we had me and Kobe's like kind of alphas, and then Phil was like, enough running. I'm like, nah, it ain't enough till I say it's enough. So then, you know, Phil said, get out of practice. So I had to get out of practice a little bit. But, you know, it was a famous practice. I really enjoyed the guys. But I say that because we thought that we could have won. I thought we needed Yao, but when Yao broke his foot, we was hurt because Dikembe broke his knee, and then T-Mac was out. So imagine if T-Mac is there, right? Metta's there, and Yao don't break his foot, and we still went to Game 7. Respectfully, you know.
T-Mac was my go-to on NBA Live. That guy is ridiculous, amazing.
Nah, for sure. Let's get to El Jefe and then get to the newcomers.
Yo, Metta, I love the story about Phil and the imitations of what went down in practice. That's hilarious. I'm going to ask you a hard question because I'm a journalist.
Okay? Oh, nice. Thank you.
Yeah. And this is, I think that I want to help you. So this is what I'm going to ask you, Ron. You did a great thing after you won the chip, and you thanked your therapist. It's well documented you've had a lot of mental issues and problems and stuff. What about when the freaking media, which is a bunch of animals, I'm going to love you. I'm great in there. But you're going to get asked a lot of hard questions. A lot of people are probably going to be like, who the hell does this guy think he is? He's got zero experience. He wants to be a head coach. and you're gonna come under a scrutiny and spotlight.
Understood.
Are you gonna deal with that?
Great question. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So that's what we're here now for. We're here for the clash of the Titans from the perspective of the things I've went through, and then the things and the knowledge and the experience that the media has in terms of positioning their stories and positioning, just their everyday life in media. And that's where you see uniqueness. That's where you see the charisma. That's where it's not about going backwards. It's about focus, and it's about communication, and it's about addressing, being held accountable, holding people accountable. It's about not taking a step back, but taking a step forward. I wouldn't be here if I didn't know that. I would not be here. One, if I didn't know it, I would be here. I wouldn't be here if I didn't expect that, and if I wasn't ready. If I wasn't ready to take a job, the biggest city in the world. I'm not worried about the media. The fans, but people should be worried about it. If you want to really be real, the fans.
You're right.
Am I right?
And they're crazy. You're right.
And that's
They might get under your skin.
Before the media get under your skin.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that.
So now
I'm serious. Yeah. And what?
That's the experience of being in New York City.
Or wanted to kill somebody, wanted to rip somebody's head off in the when was the last time you really got pissed off?
All right, I'll answer that. You could just ask that question. Just ask the question. I'm going to answer that for you. I just didn't think you had 5 different ways you was going to ask it. So from that perspective, where I'm at in my life now is I want to coach, right? And I'm a little older, and I do have a few businesses. I have 2 grandchildren. I got the New York City edge to coach. I still have the coach, still have the edge, but I got 2 grandchildren. And I'm trying to win a title as a coach, if that makes sense. I'm also running a operating holding company. Have a lot of founders. There's many things I'm doing right now. You understand? I don't have no time for to entertain any drama. Basketball aside, I don't have any time. I'm way too busy. Okay? First and foremost, I love my vacation time. I was on an island when I got this message. I was literally on vacation at a river, at a rapid river, just hanging out, listening to the water and different things like that. So, but the edge is a source where that came from. What's that source? Well, the source is many things. It's my mom, it's my dad, but it's also the environment of the neighborhood, Queensbridge, right? And when you think about the source on where that ground, y'all know Metta when Ron Artest 2004, right? When you think about the source, it came from many different areas, and one of the things was the uncertainty, the lack of knowledge itself in terms of even who are you as a person, right? If that makes sense. Some people don't really understand, and as you research your history, I think that handles a lot. A lot of people don't even understand, how they're, what were you doing when you were in the belly? What was your parents doing? I'm talking specifically about people that have issues like Metta World Peace, people that can relate to things I've been through. And when you don't understand how your parents grew up, when you don't understand how you grew up, right? On top of that, if you grown up in these really estranged environments, such as maybe you're hungry, maybe there's violence happening, you become that. And this is where I can relate to the city, right? This is the other piece to it. This is how I can relate to a lot of things going on in the city. This is why people relate to me, right? Because when I was talking about Queensbridge and doing all this stuff, it was super relatable. So from that perspective, as I understand that, I'm like, oh, I'm not just a person that's out of control. I'm a person that was out of control. You see what I'm saying? I'm not just a person that's a bad person that I don't know. Like, why do I feel so sad today? Why am I not happy? Oh, because I got these questions answered. And when you can when you understand why, then it's like, oh, well, I had no shot, at being stable. And then you say, oh, I understand why. And then you move on with your life. That's a lot. That's like bricks that's let go. Now I'm able to have clarity and focus. I wasn't doing all this stuff 10 years ago that I'm doing now. I wasn't speaking like this like I'm doing now. So that's where I'm at in my life. I don't have no time. I saw a lot of fans in the comments. It's kind of funny, to read some of the comments. He's going to get a tech. He's going to be the leading. That's not even how I coach. I'm not a screamer at all. I'm not, meaning like, if I got to project for you to get back on defense, yeah, I'll raise my voice if you didn't hear me. But I'm not like a screamer. I'm not like, what are you doing? That's not even my style. You understand? I'm a Buddhist. Metta is a Buddhist name. Even though I still got that, I still got that bloodline from where I'm from. So I say that because I have no time for that type of stuff. Hey, Dodge, let's get you in, then we'll bring in the Raptors. Dodge.
I think he's a spam account.
All right, let's bring in Raptors.
No, I'm not a spam account, bro. I had an actual question.
Okay.
Let's do it. I wanted to know what you think about gambling in sports nowadays, and if you think it's going to ultimately have a negative or positive impact on like the youth growing up, getting into sports and stuff like that.
Under the context of this chat, I can't answer that right now. But I'll send out another chat. I'll actually maybe do something on that. But right now, under the context, it'll be, I couldn't really answer that right now because of what we're trying to do in coaching. But regulation is regulation. I would say that regulation is regulation. So as long as people is meeting regulation, I think everything's great. Let's get to the Raptors. Thank you, Dodge.
Yo, Metta, what's up? My name's Nabil, and I'm an honored, or they call me a Knicks fan. I'm a Raptors fan, but they call me a Knicks fan, so they know who I am. But thank you for allowing me to speak. It means a lot. My question, I don't really have a question. It's just, I think that player coaches are fun to have in the NBA. More player coaches should be in the NBA. For example, like Steve Nash used to coach the Nets. I know that didn't really work out. Jason Kidd is now the head coach of the Mavericks. So I like the player coaches. And if you become a coach of the Knicks or whatever team, I think it would be good because you have the experience. You've been under some great coaches in your career, and you played with some amazing players, aka the late Kobe Bryant. But I think that if you're the coach or any coach, you're going to be a valuable key piece, and I think that will be beneficial for the players. So that's all I got to say. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
I want to. Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that, Raptors. I got to agree with you. Like, I'm not coaching. I'm not getting up at 6 a.m. every day or coaching at 6 a.m. to not be a great coach. That would make no sense. I'm doing this for a reason. Let's get to Alan Elians, and then we'll get to Ramel.
Yo, Metta, what's up, man? Thanks for letting me get a chance.
For sure.
I wanted to ask you if you happen to be the coach of the Knicks, with your experience and what you've gone through in your career and in your life and how mental health has been so important. How would you feel about having a sports psychologist as part of the team, or if that's something they might already have?
That's already in motion. All teams now. That's a great question. Let me let you finish before I cut you off.
Okay. And how would you feel, for the younger generation? Because I think that a lot of pressure, like Hefe was talking about, people don't remember that the last time the Knicks were in the conference finals, we didn't have social media. and
Wow.
now we do. So like that's a whole different world. So how do you think that A would have helped you back then, and how do you think that could help players on your team now?
Yeah,
It's mental health awareness month also,
Yeah, mental health awareness. I think that it's important to like take care of each other as humans. Absolutely. I think we've been through a lot as humans in general, not even just as athletes. So, I think with the lack of support, sometimes people don't have family. Some people don't have food. People might be going through something. Might have a real chemical imbalance. So this is not just for athletes. What we did in terms of talking about mental health. That's for people. We're talking to the public. We're not just talking to athletes. We're putting that on the big screen. That's millions of people watching. We're hoping that we inspire someone that could, help themselves if they need it. So I think it's super important. A lot of athletes, y'all don't see it as much, but when we was playing, there's a lot of athletes that was going through things that nobody knew about. But because they make so much money, it's almost like they're not human, but they really are. They're actually going through something. So it's super important. Great question. Let's get to franchise. You can ask the question. I'll bring some more people in, then we'll wrap this up. We spent a lot of time, 2 hours, and we're going to do it again. So please join the next.
Respect, I think Ramel and Brutus.
Yeah, Ramel. Yeah. I saw you, Ramel. Yeah, let's go to Ramel. Thank you.
Metta, what's going on? This is Ramel.
Yeah.
I'm actually from Ravenswood.
Yeah, what up, baby?
I'm good, man. I used to work with your dad over at the hospital.
Yes, sir.
Matter of fact, I went with him a couple of times to see your St. John's game
Nice.
at Madison Square Garden. So, and you probably know my cousin Fat Boy from the projects there at Queensbridge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ravenswood.
Yeah, no doubt. So, Metta, for me, it would be very intriguing if you was on the sidelines for the Knicks. And the reason why I bring that up, because right now my favorite player on the team is actually OG. And every time I watch the Knicks, I don't think they maximize OG to his full potential. And I think there's some similarities in his game with your game. He's probably not the defender you were, but at the position small forward, he can defend, and he can also has the ability to score. But a lot of times I feel like he's not maximized. So if you was on the sidelines as a coach for the Knicks, what would you do to maximize OG's potential? Because if we can unlock him to be a consistent, not necessarily a third star, but just be a consistent player on a night-in, night-in basis, I think that's the secret weapon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Playing. So what would you do to maximize OG?
But not to put any extra added pressure on the Knicks, because like I said, I have not spoken to the team. This is just something that I saw. I saw a tweet, and me, I got to take advantage of the moment. I just want people to know that I always wanted to see the Knicks win a title since 1999. But speaking to that, when you talk about a small forward who's built like that, that's what I do, right? If you see who I played under, Coach Carlisle, you see what he's doing now, how he's utilizing that type of player. So like I said, you got to absorb each other, you got to implement, you got to create one from everyone's abilities. You got to leverage, the brain power and leverage the symmetry, and you got to leverage, just people's abilities. And I say that because sometimes you can get lost. I say that because you could get lost in the moment because maybe you're not in a rhythm. And I've been through that before. And sometimes you take yourself out of a rhythm because you're waiting for the perfect time to catch a rhythm, right? And sometimes the game doesn't work like that. When you got a guy like Jalen, I'll compare him to Kobe in terms of the roles that they have on their team. So it's going to be a different flow. And sometimes, the flow is best for the team, but it might not be best for you. It might not be feeding your ego in terms of stats. And that's where, but what I do know, if you work on your game, it'll never be a point, because you 9 times out of 10 or 8 or even 7 times out of 10, you're going to play well. So sometimes we talk ourselves out of the game because it's not exactly how we want it, and you miss out on the opportunity, because you got to think about it. When you're on fire, You never know you're on fire, right? So sometimes you be on fire in a moment, and you couldn't even tap into it because you was worried about something else, right? You couldn't even tap into like you didn't know that you were about to hit 3 threes in a row. If that makes sense, you know what I mean? So I think just understanding his body type and understanding the game from a bigger person's point of view, and I also played the different positions. I think that would be for sure. That'd be a hell of a value add. I don't want to put any. Like I said, I don't want to put any extra pressure. I'm not in the runnings right now, but hopefully my horse can enter in the field.
Yo, Brutus, you can go, Brutus. He's one of the new speakers.
Definitely could be.
Thanks, Robert.
Helpful on the sidelines, and give a shout out to your dad. He was going through something, so give a shout out to him. Peace.
Can you repeat that, please?
No, I was saying give a shout out to your dad.
Oh, for sure, I will.
Yeah.
And Brutus. Yep. Okay. Thank you, Brutus.
Hey, what's up, man? What's up, Metta?
It was great.
Yeah, man, they should have definitely got you in '99. Man, that was a bad draft for us, man. Probably it has put our clock back in terms of possibly winning a title, because you might have been somebody who could have helped spearhead the unit to do so from those years, man. But based on that alone, that should make them at least want to give you the interview, open the door, let you in, give you that interview, because they messed up so badly when they didn't draft you. So that's what I got to say with that. But as far as, I feel that you're more than probably qualified to become a head coach. But some may say that you're looking to skip steps, like by not ever being like a bench or assistant bench coach. And I don't think you really do need that. But why would you believe that you're qualified beyond that step that most take to get to the head coaching position?
I'm not saying I'm any better than anyone, right? What I'm saying is I want to win a title in New York City, right?
Thanks.
So that was my goal. It never changed. I'm actually really humble. When I made it to the NBA, I will always go back to my neighborhoods. I'll be on the subway stations, and people in New York City know me. Brooklyn, Staten, people see me. I never, I'm always like available and all this stuff. But I have set a goal for myself, and as I was trying to get opportunities, I don't want to say any names or throw anybody under the bus, because this is about the Knicks. This ain't about people who said that they was going to give me a shot and didn't return my call. So therefore, I wasn't able to get that experience. Therefore, I wouldn't be ready for a moment like today. But I am, because I found another way to get experience. So let me just say that. You know what I mean? So I got my experience from actual coaching. I got my experience from failures. I got my experience from, the things I've been through mentally. I went through a lot in the league and personally, and came out on the other side. That gives me the confidence. When Rick Carlisle comes to you in a practice and says, you're going to be a good coach one day, I'm like, I was shocked when he said that. Because, I needed to hear that at that time in 2003. I needed to hear that. So that gives me the confidence. And then also, when you're waking up at 5 a.m. to go to a 6 a.m. practice every day, and your girls don't got shoes sometimes, they got to buy their own shoes. This is Division II. We don't got NIL money. That's battle tested. It's a different level. And people have not gone through that. I'm a former all-star. It's some people that didn't go through that. If you want to keep it 100. It's some people that got right into a check. I don't get paid to coach. I'm there every day. I'm on Southwest with my team, running practice in the morning with people that's not even eating. Sometimes don't even have breakfast in the morning. We got to coach different. When you don't eat, you get a little bit cranky, right? So from that perspective, when you look at my experience, and you look at what I've done with the organization with head coach Torino Johnson, from not going to the NCAA tournament for 20, 30 years to going 2 years in a row and being a powerhouse and playing against Stanford. And Stanford women's coach saying this team is special. It's documented. It's online. Look at Stanford versus Cal State and look at the interview. That was us. So I say that because I'm reintroducing to people the readiness. So, and I understand that people don't know because people don't follow me. I don't even try to be cool anymore. So people don't even know what I've been doing in terms of that. So I also understand the comments, and I'm here to answer it straight on. I'm here to answer anything straight on because one thing is this. This is not to put the Knicks I don't like to put the Knicks under pressure. I'm not trying to. Dolan's too tough for that anyway. And then this is just something that I read. I was at a coffee shop. I always wanted to coach the Knicks. I've been preparing to win a title as a head coach. Just because I'm not receiving the opportunities, keep that in mind. Just because I'm not receiving certain opportunities, it doesn't mean I'm not getting ready. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that I'm not putting myself through the fire so I can be ready for a moment. And then now, you never see me come out right and talk about a team like this. When the last time anybody heard this much buzz? Sports Center actually posted that Metta want to be head coach and others. And then there's some people that's not posting it because they're not allowed to post it. So they going around me. I get it. I understand. I respect them. I love y'all. It's not about that. It's about right now, we've been wanting to bring as a New Yorker, I've been wanting to bring a title to New York for a long time. I have some pride. Michael Jordan comes in here. He smashed us. You understand? I play against Michael in the summertime. I go at Michael. I'm not saying I'm better than Michael. No way. But he remembers the games at 20. There's famous stories out there right now. So it's about fighting for the city. Why did I go to St. John's and not go to Princeton when I got a letter from Princeton? Why did I not go to Miami when my major was architecture and that was the best place for me to complete my major in Notre Dame? Why did I come to St. John's? Because I was fighting for the city. I was fighting, I wanted to win a title at St. John's. I got Felipe Lopez to get to the NCAA tournament for the first time. This is New York City royalty. And he never been to the NCAA tournament. So we go fight for Felipe. Then we go try to win it. And we lose by 2. We almost went to the Final Four. There's a reason why. Then you look at my lineage in high school when I went 27-0. That's legendary record. That's legendary city title. So when you look at that lineage, we want to bring that to the Knicks. Why? Because it's just a dream as a kid. You just have a dream. And when people think you forgot about that dream, you remind them, I didn't forget about that dream. It's alive and well. And we want to win a title in New York City.
Powerful, brother, man. Continue to speak your truth to power because that's where it's headed, man. No doubt, man.
Thank you. We'll be back on Spaces. I really appreciate y'all. Thank you for joining. We're gonna do everything we can, and regardless, whatever the Knicks do, we're gonna support them. Whoever they bring in, transparently. Everybody know I'm a Pacers fan, so I will be at the Pacers game. Sorry that the Knicks lost to the Pacers, but I play for the Pacers. I will be at the game 3 and game 4. And if they win, I might get a staff ring. So don't be alarmed. I still love New York. I still want to win a title here. Just my journey's a little bit different. I got a Laker part of that history. You see my icon with Kobe. I got Houston Rockets, Sacramento, Chicago Bulls. I got a lot of history. So I will be at the games.
Did you pull up to the Knicks playoff run this year?
Anytime the Knicks plays the Pacers, I can't go to those games.
Why not? It's too conflicting? Or?
It's too conflicting. You got to think about it. From my neighborhood in Queensbridge Projects, it's 3 people from Queensbridge that played with the Pacers. Sean Green from Nas block, Vern Fleming from my block. Vern Fleming's niece had a baby with my cousin. And then me. I looked up to Vern as a child. And then you look at this, you want to talk about St. John's, Mark Jackson, Chris Mullin, and Malik Silly, they all play for the Pacers. You understand? So when you're talking about the Knicks, I did come out and I didn't say I want the Knicks to lose. I actually repost both teams, if that makes sense. It's really conflicting. I would need, if I was as a fan, I would need a half Knick and half Pacer outfit.
But just to confirm, you said earlier in the space, you within everybody in your NBA circles, group chats, texts, whoever, everybody felt the Knicks were going to beat the Pacers. Is that correct to assume that?
Going into the playoffs, yes, that's accurate. Going into the playoffs, people thought the Knicks would have a shot at making the championship. When the Pacers started to catch steam, that was something unheard of, man. When you beat the number 1 seed, 4-1? Is that right?
Right. 4-1 in the first 2 series. Right?
My goodness. So then at that point, people started talking like they talking now. For me, I'm when an organization gets your back, how they have my back, it's kind of like self-explanatory. When everybody's smashing you and you get one organization helping your back like Indiana, they literally fought for me mentally and physically. You know what I mean? When people was attacking me from all angles, you know what I'm saying? So that's that. It's kind of hard to go to those games, but it doesn't mean. And I'm probably closer to the Pacers organization, honestly, but it doesn't mean I don't want to still win as a Knick head coach, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know you're about to leave,
True
but
Warrior.
just
What's going on, True Warrior?
Yo, that's Rick, man. Yo, Metta, before you leave and you take a question from Rick, I just want to extend an invitation to Nick's Twitter, man. We got spaces 24/7, like any given time. So if you ever want to use this platform to get a message out, we'll be way more than available for you.
I don't want to overdo it because I don't think it's the time.
Man.
But I will. Yeah, I'm waiting for another signal. I need a signal.
I don't say it because other fan bases is not this amount and this.
I see.
Yeah. So.
Well, maybe I join, but I don't want to talk in terms of putting pressure on the organization because
you could co-host it, man. We're just saying if you got a message you want to get out, the majority of the people that you see in here are Knicks fans. They're people from Knicks Twitter. So
that's incredible.
If you ever, pretty much I'm looking down the list. It's pretty much 80 to 90% Knicks Twitter.
Oh wow, I didn't even look yet. That's crazy.
Yeah. So I just wanted to let you know, man. Like the people in here are 24/7 basketball Knicks fans, and if you need to get a message out, you can use us.
The main message is this: years ago, when I was telling Knicks fans that y'all gotta stop putting so much pressure on the Knicks when something go wrong. And I wasn't even a Knick, but I was on other teams saying this because I was still a fan. So now I know the main thing is we had some questions that was asked today about the experience and different things. I'm not trying to go at fans because I'm not afraid of the fan, right? I'm not gonna do that. If they have a question, just ask the question. Just ask the question because people making statements. Well, what am I going to do with a statement? Ask the question, and I think if you can get people to just use your words, and then I'll be gladly to answer those questions because one thing I want people to know as a Knicks fan myself, not like no fair weather Knicks fan you see. I don't want to go into names. But you'll see people acting like they want the Knicks to win. And when the Knicks play bad, they want to talk bad about them just to put more pressure on the organization. I'm here to be a buffer for that. You know what I'm saying? I'm here to be a buffer for that, for those type of higher level fans per se. But I'm also here to say there's only one goal. I think I got the same goal y'all have. It's win the title in New York City, baby. All right, peace out.
People who say you're only interested in the Middle East for oil.
You're obstructing a federal right. Obstructing a federal right. Get on the ground. Get back. Get back. Get back. Stop fighting. Stop resisting. Stop fighting. Stop resisting. Stop resisting. Hey, get the fuck back. Get back. Get the fuck back. Back up.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available.
Peace, what's going on?
Hey, everything good. My bad. I was doing this Twitter Spaces and I forgot to hit you.